I am about to tell you a math story about some make-believe creatures called tiny tumblers. Now, as I'm telling you this story, I want you to close your eyes, or just keep them open, but visualize or make a picture in your head of these creatures, what they look like, what they do, and after, you're going to have a chance to draw a picture of a tiny tumbler and show what you think a tiny tumbler looks like. So here is the math tiny tumbler story. In a land far, far away from here, there were many, many mountains. And on each of these mountains lived a certain number of tiny tumblers. Tiny tumblers love to tumble. They are made to tumble. They are round, they are short, and they tumble for fun. Tumbling means that they roll over and over again. Now on each mountain lives a different number of tiny tumblers. On the 6 math mountain, there's 6 tiny tumblers. On the 10 math mountain, there's 10 tiny tumblers. Every morning they wake up, they stretch, they get dressed, they wash up, eat a good breakfast, brush their teeth, and then they tumble down the sides of the mountain. Now some of the tiny tumblers tumble on one side of the mountain, and then the other tiny tumblers tumble down the other side of the mountain. And that is the tiny tumbler story. Now tiny tumblers are make-believe creatures, so really we can use our imaginations to create this image of a tiny tumbler and what they would look like on a mountain tumbling down the side. In math, when we're drawing tiny tumblers on our work pages, we use a quick sketch, just like we would in our math journal. So this week, you're going to start trying some tiny tumbler math mountains. And this is what they look like. I'm going to show you right over here. So this right here is a 6 math mountain. I know it's a 6 math mountain because I see the number 6 up here. So that means there are 6 tiny tumblers that live on this mountain. And then down below on each side it has different numbers. And those numbers mean that 1 tiny tumbler tumbled down this side, and then 5 tiny tumblers tumbled down this side of the mountain. And I'm going to add tiny tumblers to this mountain. And like I said, it's just a quick sketch because it's not about the details in our math work. It's about our math thinking, just like in math journals. When you draw tiny tumblers, you want to start all the way at the bottom because you don't really know how much space you're going to need for your tiny tumblers. And they're tiny, so be careful. You don't have too much space. You have to keep your tiny tumblers pretty small. So there's 1 tiny tumbler on this side, and I have 5 over here, so I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. He tumbles down. And this math mountain is complete. And really, it's like partners of a number. So 6 is made with a 1 and a 5. Let's look down to a different math mountain. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. We have 10 math mountain. So 10 math mountain, that means there's 10 tiny tumblers that live on each of these mountains. More tiny tumblers means I have to be careful with my drawing. I don't want to draw my tiny tumblers too big and then I'll run out of space. Let's do this one right here. Okay, so this is a 10 math mountain. There are 10 tiny tumblers altogether. I have 7 that tumble down this side and 3 that tumble down this side. Here we go. Start at the bottom. Now, if I count by ones all together, I should get my total number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, you say I made a mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Good thing I checked my work. I only have 6 tiny tumblers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. 8, 9, 10. Even adults make mistakes, especially in math. Math is a tricky subject. So check your work and just edit if you make a mistake. Now I'm going to really check each time. So this is Math Mountains and Tiny Tumblers. You're going to be doing some of this work this week. And here's my challenge to you, and this is optional. You don't need to do this, but I think it's fun. If we were in school, we would do this. So I would give you a blank piece of paper and your crayons and pencils, and you could use markers. You could really use anything you want from home. And I want you to draw what you imagine a tiny tumbler to look like. I'm going to also draw what I think a tiny tumbler looks like, and then your parents can take a picture of your drawing, and they will put it onto a Google Slides, and I'll send that out, and I will share it with everybody so you can see how your classmates imagined their own tiny tumblers. Don't forget to add your name nice and big so we know whose imagination made that tiny tumbler. Okay, have fun creating and doing some math mountains.